So you glance down at your fitness tracker or log into your patient portal, and what do you see? You probably think you're just looking at data, right? Numbers, charts, progress reports. But what if I told you that those tools are doing way more than that? What if they're tapping into the deepest parts of your psychology, shaping not just your health, but your very sense of who you are? Let's peel back the layers on the hidden psychology behind our digital health. To really get a handle on this, we need a shared language. And that's exactly what the World Health Organization is trying to build with its classification of digital interventions. It's a way for us all to see that these gadgets and apps aren't just technical tools. No, they are profoundly human, and they're fundamentally changing how we see ourselves. So in this explainer, we're going to look at our digital health lives through the lens of two really powerful psychological theories. We'll explore that inner conflict these tools can sometimes spark and the social performance they can push us into. First up, let's talk about how these digital tools basically act as a mirror that gives us a constant and, let's be honest, sometimes brutally objective look at who we really are. To make sense of this, we're going to lean on E. Torrey Higgins' self-discrepancy theory. The core idea here is pretty simple. Our happiness, our well-being, it's all tied to how we feel we're measuring up against these different versions of ourselves that we carry around in our heads. So this breaks down into three key selves. First, you've got your actual self. That's you right here, right now. Then there's your ideal self. That's the you dream of being, your hopes, your aspirations. And finally, you have the ought self. Think of this one as being shaped by your sense of duty, your responsibilities. A lot of times it's based on what you think other people expect of you. Okay, so here's where the tech comes in. That fitness tracker on your wrist, it's doing more than just counting steps. It's a self-monitoring tool that's giving you this nonstop, data-driven feed of your actual self. It's reflecting your behavior in real time, no filter. And that leads to a really important question, doesn't it? What happens emotionally when there's a gap between what that data says you're actually doing and what you feel you should be doing or what you want to be doing? Well, that gap is what Higgins calls a self-discrepancy. It's this psychological tension you feel between your reality, your actual self, and the standards you've set for yourself, whether those are your dreams or your duties. And trust me, this tension is not neutral. It triggers some very specific and often negative emotions. And this is the absolute key insight. When you don't measure up to your ideal self, your hopes and dreams, you feel dejection, things like sadness, disappointment. But when you fail to meet the standards of your ought self, those duties and obligations, you feel agitation. That's your anxiety, your guilt, your fear. Two different gaps, two very different emotional hits. But this whole thing isn't just happening inside your own head. The moment we share our health data with someone else, like our doctor, a whole new psychological drama unfolds. And that brings us to our second theory. For this part of the puzzle, we're turning to sociologist Irving Goffman and his theory of impression management. He basically said, we're all actors. We have a front stage for our public life where we're performing and a backstage where we can be our unedited selves. We're constantly working to present a particular version of ourselves to the world. Just think about a telemedicine call. All of a sudden, your living room isn't just your private space anymore. It's a front stage. You're now performing the role of the good patient for your doctor, carefully managing everything they see and hear to create a specific, positive impression. And look, this is not trivial. This isn't just about minor embarrassment. The pressure to keep up that perfect image can be so intense that it can literally harm our health. The fear of being judged can become so powerful that some people will actually refuse treatment they desperately need. And this performance? It's not just about video calls. It goes right down to the data itself. Before we share our step counts or our blood sugar logs, we might feel the strong temptation to, edit the numbers, right? To curate the information just enough to maintain that positive face and avoid looking like we're not following the rules. So you've got this inner conflict and this outer performance. How do they actually connect? Well, it happens when the technology itself starts talking back to us, acting as this bridge between our private self and our public medical self. Okay, so here's how it plays out. Your health app sends you a targeted alert, maybe a reminder to take your medicine. That little ping directly triggers your ought self, your sense of duty. And your motivation to actually take the pill isn't just about being healthy, it's also about managing the impression you'll make when your doctor eventually sees your compliance report. And you can probably see where this is going. This can create some serious social anxiety. You feel this intense motivation to impress your doctor, but deep down, you're worried you can't actually pull it off perfectly. It's this classic psychological trap, created entirely by this digital dance between you, your provider, and the tech that connects you both.
So, what on earth does this all mean for the future of health technology? Well, it means we have to stop designing for the data point and start designing for the whole person.
If there's one thing to really get from all this, it's that these digital health tools are not neutral observers. They are actively interacting with our deepest beliefs about who we are, who we want to be, and who we feel we ought to be. So let's just pull that all together real quick. Our digital tools hold up a mirror to our actual self, which can create this painful gap with our ideal or ought selves, making us feel either dejected or agitated. And at the exact same time, we're performing for our doctors to manage how they see us, which can spark anxiety and sometimes even lead to bad health choices. But here's the good news. Understanding all this is the first real step towards fixing it. By using a shared framework, like the one the WHO is building, designers and doctors can start creating tech that actually supports us, our minds and our bodies, on our journey to get healthier. Which leaves us with one final big question to chew on. How do we build a future where our technology actually empowers us, where it helps close that gap between who we are and who we want to be, without all the psychological baggage?